it's so nice to meet all of y'all. Congratulations on this amazing movie. Did y'all have a blast at South by Southwest?
I want to say yes. I wasn't able to make it because I'm working right now in Canada
Oh,
on my show. I know, but I was watching from afar and everyone looked like they had an amazing time. You guys look so beautiful.
We miss Bethany so much, but she was following along so enthusiastically in spirit. But we had a great time. Although we did miss. You're coming to the next one, Bethany.
yeah.
Exactly. But Gloria's trying to say I texted too much
No.
and too many emojis. I hear you, Glo. I hear.
Well, I was wondering, what was it about this story, this amazing story that drew you to the project? Because this is such a great film.
So I wanted to make this movie, and I developed it really closely with the writer Aiden West. So I was really lucky because basically I told him like, oh, I really want to make a movie that's kind of about contemporary relationships, and sort of deals with that and deals with the way that women like, sort of help each other in times when they might need help and the way they see each other. And I just in general love movies about women's relationships, whether they're romantic or not. And then Aiden was like sort of pitched as a genre film, and we talked a lot about like Bonnie and Clyde and that legacy of like lovers on the run stories. And so, yeah, it really came from wanting to talk about contemporary relationships in a way that felt sort of new and like, untalked about. And then it became this very wild ride of, yeah, sort of like a lovers on the run thriller.
I love the queer aspect. I'm like here for queer joy and like adding more and more and more content into that space. And this was just such a fresh, cool take. But like Glow said, it was like just so nuanced and current. Like it wasn't something that was like, oh, bash you over the head with like this old relationship concept that we've seen before. It's like, no, how do we approach relationships in 2026 and like what is that looking like? Because it's way more complex and like there's way more, I think, unknown and taking like one step at a time to like figure it out.
Yeah, and I think for me, it was just like when I read the script, the writing was just so good and it just really pulled me in and I automatically fell in love with it. So I was just extremely happy to even get the opportunity to be a part of the project. But yeah, it's just really refreshing to read a script where the writing is really good and pulls you in that way. And I couldn't say no if they gave me an offer. So
That's amazing. I mean, I just love these characters so much, and I love the main character, Alex, how we're watching her kind of gain more freedom through that separation from her boyfriend, through that rejection, and we're watching her like learn more about herself and her desires. And then when she meets Kiana, like you guys just had amazing chemistry. And I was wondering, can you speak on how you develop that chemistry as actors? Like, how do you cultivate that collaboration that comes through so beautifully on the screen?
It's magic. So we perform a little bit of magic. No, it for me, it really is dependent on the person and their willingness to become like intimate with you. And I don't mean like even sexually intimate. I really mean like emotionally intimate. Like how safe and how much trust can we build to actually show those really gentle, sensitive parts of ourselves? And then what does that person do with it? Are they protective in that space? Are they, you know what I mean? Like, are they safe in that space? Um, and so me and T really approached it like really slowly and went for lots of coffees, and it was really script based and talking about the story and talking about our intentions. I think maybe halfway in, we just started to like tell each other really very specific jokes that like only the two of us were laughing at. And then we're like, oh, okay, I see what this is. Like this thing works. So I think we really started from like a great workspace, but then we moved into like a friendship space. And then I think we both really agreed that we wanted to tell the story as honestly as possible, um, while being safe with each other, you know. And then we had an amazing intimacy coordinator who like helped us with that other stuff, you know.
yeah, no, exactly. I 100% agree with Bethany. And I think it was definitely helpful that we had time before shooting to hang out, go over the script, and go over lines and stuff together and get a base friendship before even shooting. So we were already quite comfortable with each other. And then on set, it was just like fun vibes. Like a lot of the time, we were able to joke with each other. And I think our connection off screen just really translated to on screen, and it definitely helped that everyone that was a part of the production was also super fun and welcoming, and the space just ultimately felt really safe. And yeah, having an intimacy coordinator there obviously helps a lot because they go over boundaries, what we're okay with doing, what we're not okay with doing. So before we even shoot, we know we have an idea of what were comfortable with.
Also throw it back to Gloria because she had us in rehearsals for like a month before we even stepped on set. And so we got to sort of gently walk through, like half pace, like 50% pace, walk through a lot of different blocking and because I think for me, having my body in such close proximity to somebody else's body when I don't know them, I'm like, like this is so weird. But we got so much time and space to actually play before that that it was really comfortable. And then on set, um, like Glow was really sensitive and aware of when we need a closed set and why we might need a closed set, and then whose eyes are going to be on that, so then we can really kind of get these magical, intimate moments that would just be shared between two people. So thank you, Glow.
No, I mean it's great. You guys did all the magic. I was just along for the ride.
That's so important to have like a safe set to feel, to have the freedom to work through the process together. That's really cool. And I was wondering, Gloria, I think it's so cool that you also edited this film as well as directed it. And I was wondering if you could speak on the process of, yeah, editing your own film that you're directing, and does that give you more freedom to kind of experiment with things and have more control over the narrative?
Yeah, there's like absolutely pros and cons. I think ultimately like I had a good time, and it's it's also tough because like when you have like a I'm very much an advocate of having the editor and the director be separate people, but for this project, for a mix of reasons, I cut it myself and I enjoyed it. When you are like, oh, why didn't I shoot it this way? There's no one you could blame but yourself, unfortunately. But no, like it was good. And I think like, we've talked before in other interviews about how like the pace was really there from the beginning, like at the script level, and then in rehearsals we talked about it. And like, Bethany and Tandia both talked a lot about what kind of pace they should be delivering in their performances. So I think like we had a really nice idea of all that going into the edit. And then by the time we got to the edit, it was, we had luckily everything we needed to do it pretty good. And then also because it was a pretty like quick shoot, and it's a small movie, and so we really didn't shoot a lot that we didn't use. And in the future, maybe we'll get a lot more on our next project. But because we really got what we needed and then moved on, and so I was so lucky that just like our crew and our cast and our crew like just made magic happen, and a very, not a ton of takes and not a ton of coverage, and then just, yeah, I mean, like in some ways it was a gamble, but I think I was really lucky. Like it came together in the edit really nicely. I don't know.
I'm gonna toot Gloria's horn. She was literally editing on the weekends. So we're for a week, and then she's going home and editing, or I don't know if you're doing it at home, but editing on the weekends. And so then there was this conversation about like if we did need anything extra or how we might approach that. And so she had like these transitions built. She had all this space, and you can see it in the filming of it to like help tell that story. So I was just like, Glow, like when do you sleep?
After.
Yeah,
Well, this was such a beautiful film, and just the setting of it and the wilderness. And I was wondering, can you speak on how like this isolated setting kind of speaks to like Alex's headspace throughout the film? How does it affect like the character's growth throughout?
So Alex is not one who would spend time in a forest alone. If anything, she would be in a book or be in a place of distraction. So really outside of herself and going, oh, okay, I have this boyfriend. These are the things I need to do to make his life better. Oh, okay, I'm reading this book. These characters are going through these things. So there wasn't a lot of time of introspection until you're forced to be solo in the woods and and confront yourself. Like I'm really scared. I am alone. I am lonely. I'm unsafe. I don't know this terrain. And then meeting up with these two who just seem so comfortable in their own skin, let alone comfortable in this kind of high threat. There could be bears, and there was when we were shooting. Um, Beside the point. So I think there was this immediate level of like, I need these people in order to be safe or in order to survive what seemed quite unsurvivable. Um, and then the learning of joy, I thought was so special that Kiana taught Alex how to enjoy life, how to enjoy these moments, how to enjoy the terribly cold river that we can swim in, you know?
Mhm.
Um, And amongst other things, Kiana taught Alex a couple of things.
I just think that's such a special story where we are following a woman really just grow into herself and have that freedom to explore and like the fact that she makes this beautiful connection. I just think it's a wonderful film. I love it so much. And I was wondering like go walking away from the film now as it's completed, seeing people's reactions from it. Like what are you really hoping people like walk away with? What do you hope people learn from this story?
I think like it's been really gratifying hearing from women who've watched it who are kind of like not only I get like finding the themes of the movie, I guess, sort of rewarding to see reflected on screen, also kind of funny because sometimes the movie is lightly poking fun at the male characters, and it was really like gratifying seeing women sort of because I just think it's like I don't know, sometimes men are a little ridiculous and it's like fun to see. But yeah, I think like I would love if audiences just sort of saw some experience they had had reflected in a way back at them that they hadn't seen before, particularly women, because I think there is a little bit of, yeah, the film has nuance around women's experiences and relationships. And I also hope that they just have like a fun time watching this, like, you know, fun, sexy little romp in the woods. And also get a taste of, the beautiful environment that we have here in British Columbia where we shot and but is obviously also on screen in the film.
I hope people just get some joy out of it. There's so much heavy going on in the world right now. And like this film is just this beautiful, like it's a really beautiful, for me, I'm like, it's such a beautiful film. Gloria, oh my gosh, you made this just so pretty to watch. And then also that people can look at what safe intimacy, like sexual intimacy, is between people, consent. Um,
Yeah.
because I think that that's also a nuanced conversation that we don't necessarily know how to have. And I think this movie does it in a really cool, like iterative way where, like, yes, maybe we breach some consent. And so now we have to have that conversation. And what does that feel like? And what does that look like? So, yeah, I hope people learn a little bit more about intimacy.
Yeah, and I agree with both. I hope people see a little bit of themselves in it and that they take risks if they're feeling stuck, maybe not the risks taken in the movie per se, but you know what I mean. And yeah, that they just enjoy it and that we make them feel all the feels.
Yeah, it's such a cool film. Like when I think about it now about women stepping into their power and what that looks like. And so hopefully it is that incendiary factor to get more women stepping into their power or at least into their creativity and willingness to look at themselves and explore their desire.
Yeah.
Yeah.